Good evening. Welcome to the Hooked on Wrestling Sunday night quiz. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. I'm Paul Benson from Hooked on Wrestling, as some of you may know, and I'm just filling time while my podcast host extraordinaire, Rob McNichol, goes and gets his beer, empties his bowels, and gets his headphones plugged in. So I think we have movement at McNichol Towers, so I'll just bring him in. Here he is. He's ready to go. What perfect timing. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Evening all. How are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And hello to everybody watching on screen. We'll just get everybody involved. So we've got Adam and Matt and John and Leanne and Will and Richard. How are you doing, guys? We've got our early starters here. So for those that don't know, those who have been here before, we just give people time to come. We'll give it a few minutes, just get everybody in the room, get everyone up to speed. At 8 o'clock, we'll go through the rules and how everything works. And then at 8:05, the quiz will start with a vengeance. So you're watching this either on Facebook or on YouTube. So hello to anyone doing either. Rob, have you had a good weekend?
Yeah, it's been all right, mate. Not been doing very much with the old the weather being a bit rubbish, but it's been good. I've been watching a lot of SummerSlams, catching up on my SummerSlams for two reasons.
Oh, yes.
One, to get into the SummerSlam mood, and two, because I'm worried you're going to ask a lot of SummerSlam questions tonight, and I've been doing a bit of research.
You know me too well. You'll be pleased to know I have got exactly 0 SummerSlam questions for you. So I'm glad you spent all your time there. Well, mate, we've got a big SummerSlam event next week. Chris is here. Hey, Chris.
But you tease.
We've got a big SummerSlam event next week.
You layer it, and then you tease for the next week.
I don't want to hear about your sex life. We're going to be doing 20 questions all about SummerSlam next week. So I thought we'd give the guys a break this week and go all in. In fact, one of my themes, I'll tell you all this week, one of my themes is, in fact, Takeover. NXT Takeover. It is the 30th Takeover next week, a cause for celebration. So I figured that we might get some questions on that. What have you got on your shirt, by the way? It looks quite interesting.
It's all right, isn't it? It's I'm going to have to breathe in for this one because this blatantly does not fit me, this one. But it's a Survivor Series tour.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So I'll get in there. Who you got there? Who's that in the top corner? Is that Carlito? Is it on the corner there? Jeff Hardy, Umaga. It gives you an idea of the era. I can't really see who that is. Is that Melina? Is it Ken Kennedy? These have all done well, haven't they? Triple H.
It's a who's who.
Who's that? Is that
it's a who.
Trish? I can't see who it is, but I'm trying to look on my own chat.
No idea. So who we got into that? We've got Martin's in. Hello, matey. Adam Yaman Girardi. I'm sorry if I got that pronunciation right, but he's a subscriber on YouTube, as you should all be. Go to youtube.com/Hooked on Wrestling to subscribe if you haven't. Dean the Greek is here. Hello, Dean. How you doing, mate? Chris is here. Mark's around. We've got a crowd in this week. Chris is in. Managed not to spoil anything for him this weekend, so we're already 1-0 up there. Right, it's just a minute to 8 o'clock, guys. Malcolm's here. Hey, Malcolm. Welcome back. We've got a good crowd in tonight, mate. There's quite a number of names. We're going to keep Hatchamania busy.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just keep him in his place. Keep him doing those little menial tasks and stop him from jumping up and taking all the shine away from the stars.
Way too late for that, mate. Way too late for that. Who else we got in now? We've got Mick, we've got Sarah, we've got Steve, we've got Paul Moran, who I'm in the process of trade my cat for his son's wrestling figure collection at the minute. He's got a load of figures from the 90s, right? His dad.
Who has your cat?
Or his father. No, Paul Moran,
Paul
father-in-law, brought round all this bag full of wrestling figures just casually. And it's basically every wrestling figure from the early 90s. I'm like, I've offered him my cat. I haven't told him this yet, but I'm willing to go as far as trading my child. But we'll see. We'll see if we have to get there or not. We'll see. Right, guys, it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to start running through the rules for those that haven't played before. So we've got a few new starters. We're going to go through the rules, make sure everyone knows what they're doing. Hey, Brendan, how you doing? And then at 8:05, we'll crack into the questions. So we've got 20 questions, as always, this week. 10 are written by me, 10 are written by Rob. And we're going to make sure that they're tricky this week. They're pretty tricky. So we're going to ask them through as we go. We're going to ask them in blocks of 5. So I'll ask 5, then Rob will ask 5, then I'll ask another 5, then Rob will finish with 5. So how you enter? Sorry, I'm tripping over my words a bit now. I'm trying to think of a few different things. How you enter is through direct message to the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page. Okay, so go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Hooked on Wrestling, and enter via direct message. That's how you send in your answers. Okay, so do that now. Send us a test message so you know it's working right. Chris is in our war room waiting to receive your messages. So when you send it, it'll send you a thumbs up back or an aubergine if he's feeling kinky. And then we will, and then you know that your answers are registering. Okay, so just a couple of little bits of housekeeping on those answers. Please only answer once. Your first answer counts, the rest do not. So if you send in an answer and realize you got it wrong, unlucky, you've got it wrong. Don't answer again. Secondly, if you can just put the number of the question ahead of that, then that'd be fantastic. So 1 answer, 2 answer, 3 answer, so on and so forth. Just makes Chris's life a little bit easier. And as our regular, I'm absolutely throwing it down outside. Who'd have thought it? Anyway, as our regulars will know, it's a point per correct answer. And you also get a bonus point if you're one of the first 3 to answer the question. So it pays to be quick in answering if you can. What we'll do at the end of every 5 questions, Chris will read out the bonus points for that section of questions. So you'll be able to see how many you've got, and then we'll tally up. And we'll go from there. Okay, so one who's got the most points, obviously, at the end of the quiz is the winner. And you'll all be pleased to know Patrick Keyfield is busy tonight, so he's not playing live. So we might actually have another winner. Who knows, eh? Who knows? So is that clear to everyone? Has everyone? I've raced it out in record time, actually, just 2 minutes. So most important thing is to answer via direct message. Okay, have I got everything in there, Rob? Have I missed anything?
Sounds pretty good to me. What have we got to give away, Paul?
My bad. Yeah, what am I thinking? So, WWE Euroshop have once again kindly given us a prize to give away. And this week, it's going to be Seth Rollins' brand new Greater Good t-shirt. It's a pretty cool t-shirt. It's only been out a week or so, I think, just off pre-order. And we're going to give that away, not to the winner of the quiz, because that's too straightforward. We're going to give it away to one person who enters all 20 questions. They don't have to be right. You can get them all wrong. Every single question can be Adam Bomb, if you'd like, as an answer. As long as you submit something, then you're eligible. At the end of the 20 questions, we will see who's entered all 20, pluck a name out of the hat, and you will get the T-shirt. So just to say a couple of quick hellos to people who've come in a bit late. We've got Kiko is here. That's a new name I'm not sure I recognise. That's awesome. Tack's here. Hello, Tack. How you doing, mate? He was our winner of our t-shirt last week, actually. Have Euroshop sent that to you yet, mate? Is that with you? Francis is here. Cool. All right. Hey, look, there's a really good crowd. I hope you guys have got your thinking brains on tonight as opposed to your non-thinking brains.
I'll tell you who has dropped in, who I wanted to bring up was Kerr McKinley's in. He says, back again,
hello,
not sure how I'll do with tricky. You said that you've definitely defined your answers as tricky or questions as tricky. But I'm mentioning Kerr because I think it was him. Was it him that sent us the little video of Undertaker and Rey Mysterio this weekend? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that.
I think it was Kerr that sent that to us. And apologies if it wasn't, if it was someone else. But there's it's like 10 years ago or so with Undertaker wrestling Rey Mysterio, and Undertaker looks down at him and he says, "Now you're going to understand what eye for an eye means."
Wow.
It might take him 10 years. I'm sure that was Kerr that sent that in. So look for that one, folks. It was
wow. That's
quite
awesome.
the spot.
And also, by the way, yeah, just to answer the questions, Kiko, just to answer your question again, yes, please send the answer to a direct message on Facebook Messenger to the Hooked on Wrestling page to answer. So if I see you're on YouTube, so just go to our Facebook page on a second device or a second screen. It's facebook.com/Hooked on Wrestling. You'll see the message button or the direct message button or whatever it is, and bash out a quick test message to Chris. Let him know you're there. Just say hello, and Chris will text you back and let you know that your answers are registering. Right, it's 5 past, so I motion that we kick on. Do you want to go first, Rob, or shall I?
I think you should go first this week.
Okie doke, I'll go first. So, general bunch of questions this week, guys. I can't speak for Rob, but I've not got any connections rounds or anything like that. So it's a straightforward 5 questions in my first block. Okay.
Yeah, so mine aren't really connections either. So they're sort of. I'll explain mine when we get there.
Okay, cool. So I see Kieran has texted in. So yes, Kieran, we've seen your answer. You are all good, mate. Right, let's get cracking, shall we? So my first question is question 1. obviously. What is the name of the Fozzy song that Chris Jericho named his finisher after? What is the name of the Fozzy song that Chris Jericho named his current finisher after? And I'm looking for the exact name of the song, not the name of the move. And they are subtly different. So what is the name of the Fozzy song that Chris Jericho named his current finisher after?
Right, so you're not doing a connection this week, but your opening question is the exact wording of a song.
It's not really. There's a theme.
Yeah. There we go. Right, note everything down.
I never
everybody.
said there was no theme.
You said there's not. Well,
I said there was no connection. There's going to be no question saying.
No, there's no question. Yeah, okay. There's no question saying what is the connection, but there's going to be something linking these. There's bound to be. I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue about this. Let's answer a couple of questions. Tack has asked, will spelling matter? We're very broad on spelling. We don't worry too much about it. If we ask you a question and the answer is red and you spell it BLUE, then we'll have a problem. But generally speaking, we very much let you off on spelling. Although here's the thing, Paul. Do you know what the biggest spelling issue I have in wrestling is?
Is it adding random capital letters to the middle of words like WWE do?
That's the general issue that I have, as you know. But so many people throughout history in the 90s and still today spell Bret Hart with 2 T's. That is
really?
They spell Bret with 2 T's. So many times I see that. And I've watched SummerSlams this week, and there's people holding up signs saying, Bret Hart's #1 fan. You've spelt his name wrong.
No,
you're not in his top 100,000. And it's like so many people spell his name wrong.
It's like when I see Ric Flair spelled with a K.
That's exactly the same, isn't it?
R-I-C-K, yeah. And by the way, just to answer Francis, it's not an NFL jersey, it's an NHL jersey. It's a New York Rangers jersey. Funnily enough, the team that Chris Jericho's father played for. So there's and Paul's right. If you spell Bret Hart with 2 T's, you have your fan card revoked. It is as simple as that. So anyway, we've waffled on enough, Rob. Give us an answer, mate, even if it's wrong.
I haven't got a clue.
Are you literally passing? Are you?
I know one. No, I know one Fozzy song, so I'll call it. You know the name of the song, right?
Yeah.
Right. The only Fozzy song I can think of is Judas. I'll say Judas. It's maybe called the Judas Punch or something. Okay,
fair enough. And Malcolm suggested that the best way to spell Brett is BIG space E. You're never going to hear the end of that one, mate.
Malcolm,
you're never going to hear the end of that one.
Triple M, as I'm calling him, Malcolm the Meme Ma. He is on the ball, is Triple M. So that's very good.
Oh, I love it. Right, question number 2. What was the name of the bodyguard character played in WWE by Aaron Aguilera in the mid-2000s?
I think I've got the first one right.
What was the name of the bodyguard?
Pure guesswork.
Yes, I think you understand where we're going with this, don't you? So, yes. What was the name of the bodyguard character played in WWE by Aaron Aguilera in the mid-2000s?
Apologies for big things on the screen. I'm going to send something privately to you, Paul, which is a guess of mine of something I think you might ask a question about.
Go on then, let's see. I won't spoil it.
Don't look yet. Sorry, folks, for my big hand all over the place, but I'm having to touch on my iPhone screen. No, I literally know that is not bluffing. Genuinely, folks, Paul does not know my questions. I don't know his. It's just to keep ourselves entertained. We don't keep a track of who wins week on week. It's just so we've got a little bit of enjoyment like that.
Speak for yourself.
Well, okay, you might do, but
I'm 13-3 up.
Just every now and again something plays up and it looks like we've scripted it, and I genuinely didn't know that first answer. I don't know anything about music. I really, really, really like Chris Jericho. He's a terrific wrestler. I think he deserves his place in one of the highest positions in wrestling history. I think he's an absolute legend, and he's a lovely fella who I've worked with, interviewed, blah 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 blah. But I will admit to have twice interviewed him before Fozzy gigs, and he said to me, "Sticking around for the show?" And I've gone, "Yeah, absolutely." I haven't stayed for the show. I don't like the music. It's too loud too loud.
My buddy, who shall remain nameless, used to be the booker for the Download Festival. He actually basically every act below the headliners, he was responsible for booking. So you get the boss of the festival who'd book Kiss or Aerosmith or whoever it was. I'm showing my age there, aren't I? But then he'd do the rest. And he used to tell me he used to book Fozzy every single year purely because he wanted to meet Chris Jericho. He used to pay. He was paying absolute bits. The year I went, they were opening acts on the Sunday on the main stage. There was about 12 of us watching. I was mildly entertained, but nobody else really was. But anyway, what's your answer for this one, my friend?
Is one word enough? Because I don't know if he had a surname.
No, one word's fine.
I believe he was known as Jesus.
Okay, right. Jesus is your answer. So question 3, going back in time a little bit, what was the short-lived gimmick Mike Shaw portrayed in the WWF before he became Bastion Booger? What was the gimmick portrayed by Mike Shaw in the WWF before he became Bastion Booger?
I think I know that. He did a few different things with Mike Shaw, didn't he? He was a real gimmick machine back in the early 1990s. He's the kind of person, Paul, I would imagine that you would probably discuss on How Mania, the brand new 90s podcast.
Well, seeing as you mentioned it.
On the Hooked on Wrestling podcast network.
Seeing as you mentioned it, Rob, yes, he probably is. If you've not listened to How Mania yet, the first episode is out now. Myself and Ash Rose. A lot shorter.
No. Ash Rose and you.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that. Ash Rose and me talking all things 90s. So it's about an hour, a little bit shorter than Rob and I's podcast. Very light-hearted look at 90s wrestling. This week we just talked about what our first forays into wrestling were, what we loved about the 90s. Just a bit of an introduction, really, a bit of a teaser. And we'll go full on next week. Our first proper episode is this week, where we look at SummerSlam 92.
Who'd have thunk it?
Detail. What a surprise, eh? What a surprise. And we'll tell you why in a few plugs' time. So what's your answer to that one then, mate? What's your answer to question 3?
I think it's Friar Ferguson.
Friar Ferguson. Okay. By the way, if you haven't listened to How Mania yet, it's on Spotify now. And it's dropping on all of the major platforms within the next few days. Okay. So question number 4. At next weekend's NXT Takeover, there have been 3 competitors confirmed so far for the North American title ladder match. Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes. Who's the third? Okay. At next weekend's, I'll just repeat that. At next weekend's NXT Takeover ladder match for the North American title, there are 3 competitors out of 5 confirmed so far. One of them's Bronson Reed. One of them's Cameron Grimes. The other one is not Adam Bomb. Who is it?
God, he says that, doesn't he say? He says Adam Bomb every 5th word now. Bloody Adam Bomb. You better get. You better get him on the podcast. Oh, hang on, that's not a faux pas. Is he not dead? Is he?
He's not dead, but I think it might be difficult because he has been done for drug and gun charges, I do believe.
Oh, crikey! I just realised I've dropped my foot in it once or twice in the last couple of weeks in saying things I shouldn't have said about people on podcasts and stuff. So I'm not start doing it anymore. I suddenly thought, just as I said that, I thought, oh shit, he's dead. But I'm thinking of Crush. Yes, but what I will say is, in answer to your question, I'm not giving you the answer just yet, but I do recall, because you're doing NXT questions for your second 5, and I remember you doing NXT as a theme once before, and I pulled an answer out of my backside when you said, what was the name of, you said, how is the person now known who used to be called, and I've already forgotten his name, it was a bloody stupid name. Oh no, I've got it, he was called Punishment Martinez, which is one of the most stupid names I've ever heard in my life. And you said, how is he known now, didn't you? And I went, I don't know. I'll just guess. And I said someone. Well, yeah, I actually do know. I do know the answer to this question. And I would have known it even if I hadn't picked up on your little mini theme.
Well, let's have it. Let's have it.
I will say Damian Priest.
Damian Priest is your answer. Okay, and then the last one in my block of questions. So we'll go through the answers to these first 5 after we've done these and the bonus points. But the number 5 is, what was the nickname in TNA of D'Angelo De Niro?
Okay, I've got that. Oh, I can do a rant about that if you want. If you would like this show to go on until 10:30, I can launch into something about that. Oh, that means I didn't get my my little prediction right then.
No, you didn't. You did not. Hey, I've got Joe D'Angelo De Niro. Once I shared a lift with him in Paris, and he complimented me on my aftershave. I was wearing some Paco Rabanne, and he was very complimentary about my scent. Was D'Angelo De Niro? So I'll always remember him for that.
Do you know you can get apps which are things like a swearing machine or something, and it gets like 3 syllables and it creates a swear word or something for you? That was like a Paul Benson name drop generator. So you went Paris, D'Angelo De Niro, complimented on aftershave. Oh, that's an interesting mix. Coming up in part 2, Brian Danielson, Burnley, offered to cut my hair. There's going to be something.
That actually happened. It was in Blackburn, not Burnley. But I'm kidding. I've never met Brian Danielson. I've met Daniel Bryan. He's a nice chap. Okay, so have you got an answer for me? I think you'll probably know this.
What was the question?
What was the question?
No, I remember. I do remember. Well, he was called the Black Pope.
Okay,
that's what he was called, which I never really understood. And then they basically shortened it. I don't know if they decided that we can't say the word black over and over again, so we'll just call him the Pope. And I just always remember thinking, if you're tuning in for the first time and you don't understand that this is a bit of an online gimmick that he's come up for himself on his website and in his social media, and you say, coming up next week, Christopher Daniels wrestles the Pope. You think, what sort of weird gimmick is this? The bloody Pope is going to... Oh, no, it's just some guy with dreads. It's like it didn't really work to me. I thought it was a very, very poorly explained gimmick why he was called the Pope.
Fair enough. Well, he had a good tasting aftershave anyway. That's all we need to know. So,
what aftershave was it?
It's Paco Rabanne.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
It was very nice. Right. Answer to the block of 5, guys. Question 1 was, what was the name of the Fozzy song that Chris Jericho named his finisher after? Rob said Judas, and the answer was Judas, indeed. So I was looking for that word specifically. The move is called the Judas Effect. So
the Judas Effect. I have heard that, actually.
If you've answered the Judas Effect, do not give yourself the point, because I was looking for Judas specifically, which is the name of the song. So unless you just put that word, it's cruel but fair, just like Chris Jericho. So question number 2. What was the name of the bodyguard character played in WWE in the mid-2000s by Aaron Aguilera? Rob said Jesus, and he was absolutely right. It was Jesus. Question number 3. What was the short-lived gimmick? What was the short-lived gimmick? Are we turning karaoke machine now? Is that what we're doing now? It's been one of them days. Right, question 3. What was the short-lived gimmick Mike Shaw portrayed in the WWF before he became Bastion Booger? You said Friar Ferguson, and you are absolutely right again. 3 out of 3. It was indeed Friar Ferguson, who never stabbed John Cena, but Jesus did, apparently. Question number 4. In next weekend's NXT Takeover ladder match, 2 of the 3 guys already qualified are Bronson Reed and Cameron Grimes. Who is the third? Rob has already twigged onto the theme of this round at this point and said Damian Priest, and he was bang on. Damian Priest is the answer. I saw a few answers coming in that said Dexter Loomis. He was in, now he's out through an injury. So Damian Priest is the answer. And then the last answer in this block, what was the nickname of TNA star D'Angelo De Niro? The Black Pope, but I will accept the Pope, because as Rob quite rightly said, they did change it halfway through the run. So Pope or Black Pope on that one is absolutely fine. So
before you get Chris in, there's a couple of questions just to address that are coming through. People asking, can you get a point for saying just the Friar, and can you get a point for saying Mad Monk?
Definitely not Mad Monk.
Oh, see, I have a feeling he did wrestle as the Mad Monk, and then they changed it to Friar Ferguson.
Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's your section.
He was only around for 2 weeks.
I think we could check it while this is going on.
I tell you what, let's not. Let's give the point. Let's give the point, because I think if you say the Mad Monk, you know exactly who it is, don't you? You know what I mean? So,
well, if you say Judas, you knew the song.
You know, don't wangle me.
Don't
you,
dude.
You get the point for the Mad Monk. So anyway, enough of this tomfoolery. Let's bring Chris in and get some bonus points, shall we? Hatchamania, good evening. Guten Tag. How are you?
Yeah, very good, gents. How you doing?
I'm well, mate. I'm well. Good. Have you got some bonus points for us?
I certainly have, although I am still intrigued that the example Rob decided to give for who the Pope would be wrestling was the Fallen Angel. That just seemed a bit random to me as well. But So, bonus points for the first round. This is just bonus points. Adam Frand, 4. Martin Richards, 3. David Reed, 2. Malcolm Marr, 2. Thomas Stringer, 2. Chris Marden, 1. And Kieran McLean, 1.
Awesome. Well done, guys. Just one more time, mate, please.
Yep, that's Adam Frand, 4. Martin Richards, 3. David Reed, 2. Malcolm Marr, 2. Thomas Stringer, 2. Chris Marden, 1. And Kieran McLean, 1.
Awesome stuff. So, guys that don't know, just add, those are the bonus points. So, whatever you got in terms of correct questions, add the points that Chris read out to your points, to your question points, and there you've got your total for the round. I'm really sorry, I am brain dead today. I'm really struggling to get even my words out. And no, Chris isn't wearing a Liverpool shirt. Quite the opposite. Chris, give it a twirl.
Not a chance would I be wearing a Liverpool shirt. It is a Hooked On Wrestling shirt. As you can buy on hookedonwrestling.co.uk.
Bang on. So you can get those on our merch store right now. So get on there and grab them. So well done, guys, for some strong bonus point scores there. We'll get rid of Chris now. We'll see you in a few, mate.
See you in a minute.
And we'll go to Rob's questions. I figure that Rob's going to be a bit trickier than me. I was actually quite nice in that round, I think. So let's see what Rob has to say.
You are right, actually. I am going to be a bit trickier than you, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Although I did spend all of that little link with Chris just working on my my Jesus song. I don't know if I'll be able to get that finished by the end of the night, but I once wrote the whole of Hey Jude using only the surnames of Arsenal players. So I don't know if I'll be able to do a version of Hey Jude with their wrestlers. All I've got so far is Jesus, team with Macho Man. He can take a shit match and make it better, but not in your case because you're irredeemable. But it's not quite as catchy. I don't think the chorus is really there, so I'll work on it, lads. I also can't sing that song; it's not in my key. Right. Should we do my questions? What I've done is I have a very loose theme of having no theme, but what happens is that every now and again, if I'm out for a walk or I'm doing some work or I'm doing whatever, suddenly a question will come into my head. Oh, that's a good question. Or maybe just a thought about wrestling that I work into a question. And when that comes up, I note them down. And essentially, when I've got 5 or when I've got 10, they come out as a bit of a round. So there is genuinely no specific connection to many of my questions tonight. I have 10 questions which are just good. You've got to think about them. Wrestling quiz questions. Quite a lot of them have got a SummerSlam link because I've been thinking about SummerSlam stuff, but there's no specific SummerSlam link, so that's not necessarily something you should look into, but SummerSlam does come up in quite a lot of them. So, okay, all you've got to do, folks, is answer my questions. They are hard. I admit this week they are hard, but it's a bit like 4 or 5 weeks ago I did a round where I admitted up front they were difficult, but I think they were fun to take on. There's some good thinkers in these questions, okay?
Okay.
Number 6, because we've already done 5, so number 6 is my first one. Number 6, in which state did SummerSlam 1999 take place? In which state was SummerSlam 1999?
I actually know that one.
I was watching that just before we came on. It's a question I wrote a couple of weeks ago, right enough, but happened to be the SummerSlam I was watching before we came on. What one were you watching? Did you say 2005?
I was watching 2006, which is
2006.
actually quite an entertaining card. It's not, but yeah, it's got some sort of some matches on that you'd never really think to see, like Randy Orton against Hulk Hogan and Mick Foley against Ric Flair. Do you remember that Mick Foley Ric Flair match? By the way, it's an absolute bloodbath. It's horrendous.
It's a little bit. I've got a bit of a weak stomach for things like that, so it's not really to my taste that much.
Oh no, it's full on that one. But yeah, it's a good card. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm about halfway through.
SummerSlam 99, however, considering that 99 might be the year in which WWE were considered to be at their peak in terms of audiences and money generation with Austin and Raw ratings and taking over from WCW and so forth, and SummerSlam, which they bill up as their second biggest pay-per-view of the year, SummerSlam 1999 is awful. Yeah. Absolutely bloody awful.
Well, your semi-headline is Billy Gunn against The Rock.
It's not just that. It's just none of it's exciting. None of it's good. There's essentially 3 hardcore matches in a row. It's rubbish. Anyway, that's not the question. The question is, what state was it in? And apart from terrible, what US states would you say that it took place in?
That was in Minnesota.
Okay, that's what Paul says, Minnesota. Number 7. This is something we've discussed on here before, and I've decided to make it into a proper question. Number 7, how many times? All I need from you here, folks, is a number. Don't have to show working. So if you can't be bothered to think about it, just come up with a number, okay? If you're not gonna get any more or less points for getting it right than you would if you went through all the way through all of these examples. So just a number. Don't need the examples, but I'm sure Paul will want to have a think about it. Number 7, how many times did Bret Hart, with 1 T in his first name, how many times did Bret Hart wrestle in more than one match on a WWF pay-per-view? How many times did Bret Hart wrestle in more than one match on a WWF pay-per-view? That does not include, to be clear, 2 out of 3 fall matches. So if the gimmick of a match was 2 out of 3 falls, as far as I'm concerned, that's one match.
Right. Okay. So, hold on. Bear with me.
Oh, dead air while Paul does some thinking. I'm going to have to cover while Paul thinks now.
Yeah, go on, talk. You give me a question I actually have to think about, don't you? So
this might be the first good time. You really have to think about it. So, speaking of Bret Hart, okay, next weekend it is SummerSlam, and we'll drip in a few things about this during the night to not make it one big long plug because we could be here all night. But it is worth remembering. Just very quickly before I do that, Jamie Lee Blackham in the Facebook chat. It's lovely to have you here. Brilliant to have you along. But we'd love you to send your answers into the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page via direct message, please, rather than put it in the chat, because everyone's joining in on their own individual way of doing things. So we'll get rid of your comment. I think I can get rid of the comment there. We'll just move your comment along. But don't worry about it. It's not a big mistake. It's just an understandable thing for you for your first time. But if in the future you can send it to a direct message. But yes, next Sunday, I should say, SummerSlam is upon us in 2020. A bit of a different night as to normal. But we would normally be with you doing our SummerSlam live viewing parties. We can't do that, but we are doing the next best thing. We have an online SummerSlam viewing party. So we want you to join us at 8 o'clock next week, the same times as the quiz. Don't worry, Jamie Lee, it's fine, mate. It's not a problem at all. The same time as normal for this quiz, but we're going to be with you from 8 p.m. right through until the end of the pay-per-view. From 8 p.m. till 12, we've got a whole bunch of pre-show things for you. I'll tell you about them more, or Paul and I will tell you about them more as longer as this quiz goes on. But some great fun things. You can also find it on hookedonwrestling.co.uk/SummerSlam, which will give you some more details, and it's on our social media. But just gradually as this night goes on, we'll tell you a few little things about what's happening next week. Nothing's an announcement. Everything you've seen us say before. We're just going to reiterate it, although we are working on a few things in the week. There will be surprises on the night. I think I have covered enough.
Yes, you have.
Fire an answer to me.
I've got an answer. I'm for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to carry on thinking about it. I might have missed some, but hey ho. Just before I give it, just to remind guys, Chris has let us know there's a few answers coming in after we've given our answer out. We are giving you plenty of time to answer before we give our answer. Just to be clear, any answers that come in after we've given the answer, or our guess of the answer, will not count. Okay, so don't wait for us to give the answer. We might not be right, for one, but secondly, it will not count. And it's just for fun. So, if you don't know the answer yourself, why bother? So I think it's 4 is my answer to this. I think 4. I'm going to think of 4 occasions at least.
Okay, well, we'll get you to go through your working when we actually do the answers to the questions. But number 8, what was the only match that took place on WWF pay-per-view in 1993 and 1994 that was one-on-one and non-title? Okay, so there's lots of caveats there, so I'll say it 2 or 3 at times. What was the only one-on-one match that took place on WWF pay-per-view in 1993 and 1994? It was one-on-one and it was non-title. So as a for example, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna took place in 93 and 94, but that was a title match. Okay, there's a couple of matches. Indeed, I think Luger versus Yokozuna took place in 93 and 94, but it was a title match. So I'm not including ones like that. So what's the only one that took place on a pay-per-view in 93 and 94, and it was one-on-one each time, and it was a non-title match each time?
Stone the Crows, mate.
I told you they were thinkers tonight. They're proper, get down into it, deep thinkers. If you don't know them and you're struggling, folks, don't worry about it. It's deliberate, but it's to get you to think. It's to really have a deep dive in and to wrestle through your brain. And if you don't know, you can just have a little guess. Would you like me to fill a bit more while you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm really struggling with an answer for this one, to be honest.
So the headline of our pay-per-view pre-party next week. Oh, I think he thought of something. When we're on next Sunday before the SummerSlam event, we'll be with you for 4 hours up until 12 o'clock, as well as during the show. During the show, we're going to be kind of hanging out, broadcasting ourselves. You can have SummerSlam on in the background. You can have us on a separate screen, just nattering. That's a kind of an accompaniment, like a fan zone sort of thing that they'll do on the football. But before it, we've got lots of different features lined up, one of which, the reason that I came to it after mentioning Bret Hart on the previous section, is that we are going to be doing a bit of a watch along of Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog in the company of Harry and Georgia Smith, who are Davey Boy Smith's 2 children. So they're going to be on screen along with us talking about the match. You'll need to find the match yourself, either on YouTube or the network. We'll explain to you on the night exactly how we're going to get that to work. We can't broadcast it to you, but you will be able to watch it yourself. But we're going to do a bit of a watch along, talk to them about their memories of the show, what they know about them, their dad's time in it. Dedicate a long time to that particular match, which we don't believe has been done before with members of the family. So it should be great fun. Paul, you seem to have a bit of an epiphany during that bit of waffle. So what have you come up with?
I had a mini epiphany, and then I realised I was wrong. But I've had another epiphany that I think might be right. But I've got no real confidence in it because I can't remember it occurring. I'm going to say Razor Ramon against IRS. And I'm saying that without much confidence at all because I can't really. In fact, I know already as it comes out of my mouth, I've got it wrong. I just don't know.
Okay, no problem. We'll go on to number 9. Just to address a couple of people who are quite rightly acknowledging how hard these questions are. I'll let in a little bit of daylight in upon magic, folks. Paul and I don't talk about the questions we're going to ask, but we do sometimes talk about how difficult it is. And I did feel empowered to ask these questions tonight because Paul did say his were going to be a little bit easier. So there is a little bit of balance to this.
So it's my fault, guys. I've unleashed this monster.
Number 9. What is Jerry Lawler's SummerSlam record? And that is to say, not what world record does he hold, but what is his win-loss record? I'll give you. There's no draws. So, for example, what is Undertaker at WrestleMania? 22-2 or 23-2 or whatever it is. I want you to express it like that. So, like it's an American football record. So, if you think he's had 12 matches and he's won 9 of them and lost 3, you would say 9-3. That's how I would like you to express it. So, what is Jerry Lawler's SummerSlam record?
You're a bitch.
I know, but these are fun. They're ones you can really dig in and get your head around and have a think about. I love the sound of Paul's cogs whirring. Watch his eyes, folks. Look where his eyes go. They dart up and they look around as if the answer is just somewhere up there in the corner of his room. Maybe a little bit of Artex just between the Anaglypta wallpaper and the lovely ceiling. Anything? How are you getting on with this one?
I'm going to say again, just because I shouldn't take too much time because it's not about us this quiz, but I'm going to say he's 3-0. No, sorry, no, I said that wrong. I meant 2-1. I meant 2-1.
Okay.
I think he's 2-1.
Oh, it's a bit of a sudden switch there. I wasn't laughing at your answer, by the way. You happened to say your answer at the same time as Mick Connolly posted in the chat that I did the worst Sabu impression ever because I pointed up to where you were looking and I think he thought I was doing the old Sabu.
Brilliant.
Okay, number 10 to wrap up my section for a minute. Although I will be back, folks. Number 10.
No, you won't.
Number 10. Which two men wrestled against the tag team champions at SummerSlam 1997? Which two men wrestled against the tag team champions at SummerSlam 1997? And do you know what? I don't always do this, but I would be willing to do half points for this. I would be willing to do half points, one for each. You can only offer up 2 answers. If you offer up 7 answers and 2 of them happen to be right, then I'm not going to give it to you. But if you give me 2 answers and only one of them's right, I would award a half point on this particular occasion. So I'll reword it. Well, not reword it, but I'll say it again. Which two men wrestled against the tag team champions at SummerSlam 1997? While Paul's doing some more thinking, a little bit more about next week. Not only will we have Harry and Georgia doing a watch along of Brett versus Bulldog from SummerSlam 92, we will also have Diana Hart-Smith, Brett's sister, Davey's wife, who was featured very heavily during that match at ringside, came in the ring afterwards and raised both men's hands. She's going to be doing a bit of a Q&A as well. And it's not going to be the only Q&A of the evening, more about the other one in a second. But we will be saying to you guys, so keep an eye particularly on our Facebook and Twitter to an extent, but Facebook during the week, where we'll be doing a bit of an announcement about how you can get some questions asked. We can't guarantee anyone's question will be asked. We will vet them. We will select some. But we do want to give you guys an opportunity to ask some in advance. Because on the night, we anticipate a bigger audience than usual. And we will have questions open where people can ask questions during the evening. But we will take some in advance and ask them for you. Paul, do you have an answer before we...
I do have an answer. Before I do, I just want to say as well that we've decided, and we've been working with them this week. Next week is actually a free event, SummerSlam. What we're doing for SummerSlam is completely free. There's going to be no admission charge. But we are working with the Cauliflower Alley Club. And if you've never heard of those guys, the Cauliflower Alley Club are a benevolent fund, a benevolent organisation for former wrestlers that have hit hard times and their families. Most recently, they've been helping out Kamala's widow, James Harris. And they do a lot of work that's unheralded and behind the scenes that doesn't get any publicity. They do great work. They really look after some of our heroes that need the help. So we are campaigning to raise £1,000 before the first bell of SummerSlam next Sunday. So what's that going to be? About 10 past midnight. We want to raise £1,000 for the Cauliflower Alley Club. So if you're coming along next week or you've enjoyed what we've done, you guys have been with us now for a good long time, week's time. If you appreciate what we do, you can give back to us by donating to our Cauliflower Alley Club fund. So if you go to Hooked on Wrestling /SummerSlam, the link to the fund is on there. And you can donate there. So Malcolm asked how you give us financial recompense. That's how you do it, Malcolm. We don't want the money. We need to give it to the Cauliflower Alley Club. Guys, I know hard times are hard, not least for us, for anybody else, but give what you can. These guys, this is an absolutely amazing cause, and we want to raise as much possible money as we can. So Cauliflower Alley Club is what it's about. And in fact, the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club is one B. Brian Blair of the Killer Bees. and he's going to be one of the guests who joins us for our event. He's going to be joining us live from Florida, and he's going to be spending. We're going to talk to him for 10 or 15 minutes next weekend on our SummerSlam party, and he's going to give us a bit more information about exactly what the Cauliflower Alley Club does. So it could be, it's not something I've ever heard. Yeah. So I've never heard really in depth. He's the president of the club, so he's fully involved in that, and he's going to give us a bit of insight into the work they've done all over the years. So I think that'll be a really interesting 15 minutes. We're trying to do things that have never really been done,
make it a bit different
to death before. So guys like that and Martin and Diana are, I think, really interesting gets. So now I've said that, I'm going to give you my two answers for this.
So the question was, which two men wrestled against the tag team champions at SummerSlam 1997?
And I think the answer, and you answered the question, you asked the question in a very interesting manner, obviously, because they didn't wrestle against the tag team champions as a team. They wrestled them in two singles matches, and I know one was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I believe the other was Ken Shamrock.
Okay. We will. Well, it's time to do some answers, then, isn't it? Do some answers for realsies, as it were. I'd like to add one thing to what Malcolm said in terms of how do we give financial recompense. Obviously, not to us, but simply here's the other thing you can do, guys, as well as putting some money towards Cauliflower Alley. But if you can't, we totally understand, because as Paul said, look, we're about to go into the worst recession ever. We've been locked in our houses for 15, 16 weeks, whatever it is. Times are difficult. If you can spare something, cool. If you can't, spread the word. I'm sure you're all on. Facebook groups and forums and all that kind of stuff. Just spread the word. Stick up some links. Tell people what we're doing. Tweet about it. That's the kind of thing we need eyeballs on this. So if you can't afford anything, we totally understand. Just the fact that you're here and you're Hooked on Wrestling supporters is good enough for us. But if you'd like to spread it to other people and get people involved, then that'd be really cool, because the more eyeballs, the better. And if we can raise a few quid that way, even cooler. Right. Okay. Time for some answers?
Go for it.
Right. Number 6. In which state was SummerSlam 1999? You said, I believe, Minnesota. Why did you say that?
Well, because Jesse the Body Ventura was the special referee in the main event, and he was the governor of the state it was in at the time. So
that was the clue, folks. It wasn't just a random where did something happen. There was a way into that one via the governor. So if you remember Jesse Ventura, he was the governor of Minnesota. That's where he was from. And there was even a couple of other Minnesota references. I believe who was it? Al Snow, and then the hardcore match with the Boss Man spilling out into the streets and the bars of Minnesota as well. So yeah, Minnesota the answer. Minneapolis, of course, was the city, but Minnesota the state. How many times did Bret Hart wrestle in more than one match on a WWF pay-per-view? Show your working, PB.
So he did it twice in 1993. So he did it at King of the Ring in the tournament, and he did it at SummerSlam against Doink and Jerry Lawler. He did it at WrestleMania 10 against Owen and against Yoko. He did it at one of the In Your Houses. It might have been the first In Your House. I can't remember. It was against Hakushi and Jerry Lawler. And there was probably more, but unfortunately, I just couldn't think of any. So I decided not to waste any more people's time.
Paul went for 4. All of the 4, the ones he mentioned, are correct. He forgot Royal Rumble 1994.
Damn it!
A tag match with Owen, and then in the Rumble match himself. The answer, 5. Didn't have to show you working, so you might have thought that it was... You might have thought it was the first 4 Wrestle Wars and Starcade. Actually, no, I didn't. I did say WWF, didn't I? But it doesn't matter what ones you thought it was. All we needed for you to say was to say 5, and you get a point for saying that. So it was, to be clear, and I don't necessarily have these in order, but King of the Ring 1993, SummerSlam 93, Royal Rumble 94, WrestleMania 10, and the first In Your House. That's they are the ones. Good question, though, right? Number 8. What was the only 1v1 non-title match that took place on pay-per-view in 1993 and 1994 in the WWF?
Not a clue.
King of the Ring 1993 in a qualifier, or not in a qualifier, but in an opening round match. And in a quite short match over whether or not Ted DiBiase had got someone to sell out, the answer is Lex Luger versus Tatanka.
Oh, yes.
Lex Luger versus Tatanka, the only match to take place in 93 and 1994, but neither time was it about a title. What about that, eh?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good question.
What is Jerry Lawler's SummerSlam record?
Well, I think it's 2-1, but I've got very little confidence.
You said 3-0, and then you said 2-1.
Yeah. So the only SummerSlam matches I can remember having were with Brett, which he won by disqualification after the decision was overturned, against Taz, which he won. He also wrestled Jake Roberts at SummerSlam, but I can't for the life of me remember whether he won or lost. I think he lost. And there might have been more matches, but yeah, that's where I'm going.
Jerry Lawler has had 3 matches at SummerSlam, and he has won all of them.
Bollocks.
Jerry Lawler is 3-0 at SummerSlam. You actually did a bit of a falter on the question on the one I wasn't expecting. I thought people would go 2-1 because they would say he beat Jake, he beat Taz, and he lost to Brett. But you have quite rightly remembered that the Brett one was turned around because Brett wouldn't let go of the hold, so they reversed the decision. So officially, Lawler is 3-0. I've actually not got it on my screen at the moment, but there's a rather brilliant stat about the people that are unbeaten at SummerSlam, right? And it's like Hogan is 6-0, Warrior is 5-0, no one is 4-0, but there's like 4 people that are 3-0, and it's Lawler, Neville, Bart Gunn, and someone else. It's like the 4 people that are undefeated at SummerSlam are just like completely bizarre, almost arbitrary people. After Hogan and Warrior, it's a brilliant stat. So just to answer a couple of people that have asked questions earlier on, can you get half a point for Tatanka? In that situation, no, you needed to get the match. So in that case, no, you had to get Luger and Tatanka for the whole thing there. You can, however, have a half point for this next one. So I asked which 2 men wrestled against the tag team champions at SummerSlam 1997. I think Paul saw through my clever bit of wording, but did he get the answer right? What did you say?
I said Ken Shamrock and Steve Austin, because I think the tag team champs were Owen and the Bulldog.
Well, you saw through my ruse, but you did not get the correct answer. The champions at the time were Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dude Love. Now, in my eyes, Dude Love and Mankind are the same person, so I don't think you can. Someone might want to be difficult with me and go, "Oh, it wasn't Mankind, it was Dude Love." Let's face it, they're the same person. So the correct answers were Triple H and Owen Hart. Because Triple H wrestled Mankind in the opener in the cage, and Owen wrestled Austin in the infamous match where he broke Austin's neck. So the answers: Triple H and Owen Hart. But if you put, say, for example, you put Triple H and Ken Shamrock, I'd give you half a point. So I am willing to give half points for this one. So if you're marking yourselves, half a point if you got one of them. Yes, they were stiff, as Leanne has put. As Will has put. Leanne was the question below. They are starting to stiff, and there's a few to come as well, which is still quite tricksy.
We'll look forward to that one then, shall we, guys?
They are fun and they are thinkers. There's nothing wrong with having hard questions that you don't get.
There
is a reason why Only Connect and University Challenge are better than Tipping Point, and it's because you have to think about things rather than just let it all blow over.
Yes, there is. Right. Anyway, Chris Hatchamania Hatch is coming back for his bonus points. Mate, how are the answers in that round? Not particularly strong, I wager.
Sorry, I've got a problem here. I like those old 2p pusher machines that Tipping Point's based on. I don't know what the problem is there.
I like the machines. But only when you're on Bournemouth Pier and not at 4 o'clock on bloody ITV.
Very good point. I'm going to give a quick shout out here. This is going to be the least bonus points I've ever given out because we didn't have
so far
answers. Yeah, we'll wait till the last round. So quick shout out to Tom Hall and Leanne, who were the only people to get a question right on one of those questions. Anyway, bonus points. Thomas Hall 2, Will Kitchen 1, Thomas Stringer 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Leanne Culverhouse 1, Kerr McKinley 1, and Francis Reyes 1.
Well played to anyone who got bonus points there. Chris, one more time if you would.
Yeah, Thomas Hall 2, Will Kitchen 1, Thomas Trigger 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Leanne Culverhouse 1, Kerr McKinley 1, and Francis Reyes 1.
Awesome stuff.
Yes, Tack Smith says Rob's rounds are like Osmond's House of Games. Yes, they are. One of the greatest shows ever on British television. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're giving a real compliment there, Chris. We'll see you in a few minutes, mate. I'm just going to give people a bit of a palate cleanser with my questions, I think.
A sorbet, as it were, a Benson sorbet.
Well, mine's more McDonald's than Five Guys, I think.
Oh,
but
a Benson sore ass rather than
there you go. Right, guys. So my round of 5, my second and last round of 5 for the night, is all about NXT Takeover events. So we've had 29 of them so far. We get our 30th next Saturday. I'm sure it's going to be just as excellent as the previous 29. Has there ever been a show that has got such a consistently strong record in wrestling history? I'll answer that. No,
there hasn't.
No. 29 takeovers and none of them have been any less than very good. So I'm sure next weekend we'll keep up that streak. So question number 11 in our quiz is the first takeover style quiz. Question number 11. How many takeover events have taken place in Brooklyn? How many takeover events have taken place in Brooklyn?
We mentioned that last week, of course. That was on the quiz last week as part of the bro round, where we gave away a Matt Riddle T-shirt. And who we got this week? It says a Seth Rollins shirt. Is it this week?
Seth Rollins, mate. Seth Rollins. Great, a good shirt.
And don't forget, if you're joining in at this point, what I'm basically doing is telling you don't run away, even though you know there's more of my questions to come. Because if you do put an answer in, whatever it may be, for all 20 questions, you will go into the draw for that Seth Rollins shirt at the end of the quiz. So make sure you do stick around until the end.
And if all 20 of your answers are Adam Bomb, then you get an extra entry in the pot.
You do need to get an Adam Bomb shirt, don't we? We need to somehow get some sort of hooked on us an Adam Bomb shirt.
I absolutely do. We absolutely do. Right. So I think we've given enough waffle there, mate. So tell me how many takeover events have taken place in Brooklyn. Martin's had a revelation. He hates us. I'm not sure he means us or you specifically. I suspect it's probably us.
It's probably me.
I'm
the heel.
Tell me how many takeovers have been in Brooklyn.
I mean, I have no real way of guessing this. I know it's been a few because I feel like they've had SummerSlams indeed in New York, and they've had the NXT show in Brooklyn before it. I'll go for 4. There's no science behind that. I'll just go for 4.
Okie doke. Question number 12. 2 women jointly hold the record for most takeover matches. Okay? Name them both. And like Rob in the last round, I will be giving out half points on this. So 2 women jointly hold the record for having the most matches on takeovers. Name them both. Half a point for each.
Oh, crikey!
Just to be clear, the most females who've had matches. There are male wrestlers that have had more than these 2, but these are the highest appearances for the women.
Yeah, I get you. I would think one of them is probably up there in terms of the most as well. Anyway, I think I know who's had the most NXT matches, but it's a male.
Go on.
No, I'm not going to say because you might ask a question. Oh no, you're not going to ask a question about it because you wouldn't tell me go on otherwise, would you? But I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I've got two questions. Two answers I'd be fairly comfortable with because while NXT has been really good for women's wrestling and the standard of women's wrestling on NXT is remarkably high, there has tended to be 5 matches or so on an NXT pay-per-view, 1 women's match, maybe 2, but most often 1. For the title. So I wouldn't have thought they've strayed too far away from the title. So what are you doing in terms of half points here? Have you got to get both of them for the point?
No, like I just said, half points are fine on this one. Absolutely fine.
Adam has just pointed out that the most takeover matches from Mel was one of my questions recently, so that's probably how I know, because I've asked a question about it.
There you
and
go.
Then forgotten that I've asked a question. I think
I do wonder.
I think that's Finn Balor.
I do wonder how far we're going to get into this quiz. How many weeks we do before we accidentally repeat a question? I don't think it's going to be that long.
We probably already have. That's no bother. That happens. You have to accept that as a quiz master. I've done hundreds of quizzes in my life, and you have to accept you're going to ask the same a couple of times.
Give us your answers.
I'm going to go for my most confident answer. If we were doing this like pointless, my most confident answer is Asuka.
Okay.
And I would say I'll say Bayley. I feel like she was left in NXT for longer when the so-called four horsewomen were called up, when Sasha and Becky and Charlotte were called up. But Bayley stayed around a bit longer. So I feel like her tenure would have been longer. So I'll say Asuka and Bayley.
Okay, Asuka and Bayley. So question number 13. Only one wrestler that wrestled on the very first Takeover event is still an active wrestler on the NXT brand. Name them. And by active, my definition of active is that they've had a match on NXT television within the last month.
Okay, that's quite recent then, isn't it?
So name one wrestler. There is only one wrestler that wrestled on the very first Takeover that is still an active wrestler on the NXT brand. Name them. There's plenty that have gone on to the main roster and are still working on the main roster, but only one who has wrestled on NXT within the last month. So name that person.
Good question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can I ask a bit of a qualifier on this? When you say still, they don't have to have been continuously on the roster. They could have gone away and come back.
Well, they could have done, yeah. Literally, the only qualifier is wrestled a match in the last 30 days. That's it.
Okay.
They could have gone away and come back. They may not have done.
I can only think of one, really, because as you know, I'm not a dedicated NXT guy, so I don't watch the TV show week to week. But can I do my answer now? Go for it. Yeah. I feel that someone I associate with NXT from its very early days, and someone I think has gone back there recently. I'll say Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze, your answer. Okie doke.
I have no confidence behind that, but it's the only one I can really logistically think of.
Okay, so question 14. Which tag team have lost the most matches at takeovers? And by that, I mean tag team matches together, not individually. Which tag team have lost the most tag team matches at takeovers? Simple as that.
It's another good one, isn't it?
Which tag team have lost the most tag team matches at takeovers?
Okay, no, they won't have lost too many. Just trying to think of lots of tag teams. I mean, there's been lots of good tag team matches on there.
There's been some amazing tag team matches.
Some of the best tag team matches you'll ever see. They sort of allow tag matches to be a bit different on NXT, don't they? They're not quite so formulaic. Baby faces start off hot, cheat, turn round, 10 minutes of heat, teaser tag, don't do it, hope spot, hot tag. It's not quite so. One of the reasons I've never been such a big tag guy is because even when I was 7-8 years old, I could just see the format of tag team wrestling was quite dull. Martin asked, does War Games count? I think you mean 2-on-2 matches, don't you?
Yeah, well, 2 people per team. So War Games wouldn't count, but if it was a 4-way tag team match, then that would count.
Okay, yeah.
For instance, I don't know whether there's been any 4 games. So it's essentially teams of 2.
Yeah, a match where you're working as a team of 2.
Correct.
Okay. This is really tricky.
Mick's cat is judging him for his performance this week. Just tell him it's Rob's fault, Mick. Do not take the blame from your cat and its judgy eyes. Send that heat Rob's way.
I feel like I'm doing a massive overlook. I'm sort of like, I'm going through teams and I'm like, well, I can't see them losing and I can't see them losing and I can't see them losing. I feel like I'm missing someone. that must have been around for a wee bit and must have lost a few matches. But everyone I can think of, I just think, well, surely they'd win all the time.
It's not just Rob. Come on, Martin. I'm a good cop this week. It's not always the case.
They've not forgiven you for not giving points for Judas. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder what they could call you for not giving points for turning on them for a Judas question.
I don't know. I did turn on them quite sharply. Yeah.
There's no good name. Oh crikey! I'm so annoyed because there must. I know I'm overlooking someone.
Well, give us an answer.
I'll say the Revival.
The Revival.
I'll say the Revival because I just feel that they will have been on NXT a lot, and by process of elimination, but the fact they had so many matches, they must have lost some of them.
Okay, right. Sorry, I'm just seeing a piece of. Right, so
when you do that in future, when you're reading something, can you just do that or something at the same time? Because I thought your screen
to wiggle my head.
I was 2 seconds away from restarting my screen. So.
Right, okay. Last question from me in this block then is question 15. Hey, I haven't got any of the question numbers wrong this time, I don't think, have I? That's quite impressive for me. Pat on my head. Right, question 15. Which of these following wrestlers has competed in the most takeover main events? And quite simply, by main event, I mean the last match on the card. Okay, that's the only criteria for it. So which of these following wrestlers has competed in the most main events on an NXT takeover? So in alphabetical order, the options are Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Which of those 6 has competed in the most main events on NXT? Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, or Sami Zayn? What do you think?
What I think is how lucky is the NXT brand over history. What are you doing taking a picture? Are you taking a picture of your screen then?
No, I wasn't. I'm actually looking. Chris has sent a news story through. It's quite a serious news story. I'm not laughing at the news story about someone attempting to kidnap Sonia Deville, actually. But the photo that is accompanying it of the guy in handcuffs actually looks like a friend of mine, like a lot. Okay. so I'm like, just making sure.
I thought you were taking a picture of me and you on screen. I was trying to work out what you were going to be captioning that with. Come and join us on a Sunday night for the Hooked on Wrestling quiz between a guy that looks like a young Greg Davis and someone that looks like a fat AJ Styles. I thought that's what you were going to go for, but obviously not. Obviously, it was something a bit different. What I was going to say was how unbelievably lucky or how well played is it by NXT that I'm not saying that is the top 6 of people that have featured in the main event, although I suspect it might be, hence why you've named them. But
it's not.
What an unbelievable array of talent. Say them again.
The names were Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn.
I mean, just the sheer ridiculous level of talent in all of those.
I know.
Mad, isn't it? I'm going to go for Adam Cole.
Baby! Right, that's 15.
Because when you say main events, you didn't stipulate this time that they had to be on their own. The tag one you said as a tag team, but I feel like Cole must have had enough challenges for titles, defenses for titles, and been in things like War Games and stuff. So I'm going to go Adam Cole.
Cool.
I was so excited about that. I hit my headphones and moved my screen. There we go. I'm back again.
Nice. Right. Okay, guys. Well, let's go through the answers quickly now. So question number 11. How many takeover events have taken place in Brooklyn? Quite ironic, this one, actually, mate, because you said 4. The answer's 5.
Oh, it's very similar to the Bret Hart
exactly the same issue as mine, yeah. There's 5 takeovers. So there was 4 NXT takeovers that were titled NXT Takeover Brooklyn. And there was also one titled NXT New York.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay.
So they all took place in Brooklyn. They all took place at the same place, but one of them was called Brooklyn, and one of them wasn't. So, question 12. 2 women jointly hold the record for most takeover matches. Name them both. You said Asuka and Shayna Baszler.
No, I didn't. I said
you
Asuka
didn't.
and
You said
Bayley.
Asuka and Bayley. Well, if you said Asuka and Shayna Baszler, then you got the answer right, because that's the answer. Oh, I am not on form. Sorry, guys, I'm running on.
No, I did. No, you're right. You're right the first time. Bailey, Baszler. It's my Devon accent. We say Baszler, Bailey, and it sounds like Baszler.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. So Asuka and Shayna Baszler. So give yourselves half a point if you got either of those right. They both have 10.
So annoyed I got that wrong, because I bloody love Shayna Baszler. She's amazing.
She has been around a while on that brand. So, question 13. Only one wrestler that wrestled on the first Takeover event is still active on the NXT brand. You said Tyler Breeze, and you are absolutely right. Tyler Breeze was the answer. Well done. Well done, my friend there. Okay. Question number 14. Which tag team have lost the most tag team matches at Takeovers? You said the Revival. Incorrect. The answer is actually DIY.
Oh, see, I did think about them. I had a little short list, and I had the Revival, I had Authors of Pain, I had DIY. Who was another one? I had another one. I had like 4 or 5, but everyone I just feel like they'd win. Oh, the Viking Raiders. I just felt like every time I've thought of one, I was like, they'll win all the time. And I did think of DIY, actually, and I thought the Revival might be. I thought just sheer weight of matches. I thought the Revival might have had more matches, therefore they'd have lost more. I didn't think DIY had that many matches together. I thought just as many on their own. But they're fair play.
They had plenty. So, okay, the last question for me was question 15. Which of the following wrestlers has competed in the most takeover main events? Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, or Sami Zayn? Rob said Adam Cole. And the answer is Adam Cole. Congratulations. He's had 7. He's had 7 main events. Of the others, Samoa Joe has had 5, and the rest have had 4.
So Joe would have been second. Okay.
Joe was second, but Adam Cole has had 7. And you're quite right. 3 of those were War Games, and then 4 of them have been various title matches, I assume. So good. Another good round for you there, mate. Another good round.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
scary.
Okay. But I was a little bit lucky.
Well, let's see how lucky everybody else was with the bonus points when we get some hatchback. Get it? Hatchback. I know, mate. I deserve scorn for that one.
It is much better than what I used to put up, which was what's your favourite make of TV? Hitachi. Yeah, that did. All
right, mate.
I'm going to write that down.
Right, yeah, you go for it. Well, I give the widespread of bonus points then.
Go for it.
Mick 3, Adam Ferran 2, Steve Clark 2, David Reed 1, Kieran McLean 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Martin Richards 1, Richard Horrigan 1, Thomas Hall 1, Thomas Stringer 1, Will Kitchen 1.
Oh my God! It's a good job we don't pay you by the word, mate. That would be so. Let's have it one more time, because I figure we need to kill some time.
We'll negotiate that for next week. So only 3: Adam Ferran 2, Steve Clark 2, David Reed 1, Kieran McLean 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Martin Richards 1, Richard Horrigan 1, Thomas Hall 1, Thomas Stringer 1, and Will Kitchen 1.
Excellent stuff. I do like the idea that Mick Connolly is now trash talking his cat over his quizzing ability. So we've driven people to be like just giving their cats grief over their judgy eyes. That's what we've made everyone stoop to this week. So Chris, we'll see you after Rob's quiz round of bastardization. So we'll see you in a bit.
See you in 5.
I think sometimes you can think of this as not a quiz but an education. There's nothing wrong with broadening your mind, learning, using your brain to think about. I am like the guy. Oh, I've forgotten his name. What was the name of the bloke that did the brain training on the Nintendo DS? Professor Thingamajig. I'm like him. Just
Dr.
to help
Bastard.
you. Dr. Bastard. Is that my name? That's my new name. And as well as Trevor Danger and Rubber Duck Johansson, I will be Dr. Bastard.
You are Dr. Bastard. Absolutely.
One of my favourite ever. Whenever people ask me for a good trivia question, or like a good true or false question, I often go to the fact, or good fact anyway. I never remember the year, but in the late 19th century, the FA Cup final was refereed by someone called Mr. Bastard. You know,
I didn't know
true story.
Right.
Cigar Bastard, his name was Segar, and he not only did he he
Phenomenal.
played for England. He played for England and refereed an FA Cup final. Mr. Bastard.
Good lad. What a
okay.
jammy bastard.
Speaking of
Right,
bastards,
we are an hour and 15, so let's cane through these so these good people can have an evening. So let's have them. By the way, folks, telling Rob to be quick is basically like trying to grab a handful of fresh air.
Do you know when you're in the outside lane of a motorway and someone comes steaming up behind you, wanting you to go quicker? I'm going to go slower, mate. The more you beep your horn and flash your lights, suddenly I'm doing 55 in the quick lane. Right, question number 16. How many? The first couple of these are how many. Number 16. How many? So again, you don't need to give me your workings. How many people wrestled on the first ever Raw and have subsequently gone into the Hall of Fame? So how many people wrestled on the opening Raw, the first ever Raw? So I think it's January the 11th, I think it is, 1993. It's January the something, just before the Royal Rumble. How many people wrestled on the opening Raw and have subsequently gone into the Hall of Fame? Not a trick question. I'm not talking about people wrestling off-screen in backstage incidences. Not talking about Bobby Heenan trying to be let into the building. Any of that. Actual bell-to-bell matches. How many people wrestled on the opening Raw and have subsequently gone into the Hall of Fame? Bit of pen action.
There's what I can actually remember 3 of the matches on the opening Raw. I wish I could remember some more, but there's one guy who is doing my head in because I'm like, is he in the Hall of Fame or is he not?
Oh, well, this is the thing, you see. This is the beauty of this question, which is you can remember some of the things that happened on the opening Raw, but aren't there about a group of about 10 people, none of whom I'll name, where you always go, are they in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Either because they shouldn't be and they are, or they should be and they're not.
Well, I've got an answer, and I'm tempted to just add an extra 1 onto the answer, just to account for someone that I'm not remembering. But I won't. I'll give what I've got.
To be clear, just for the sake of it, I'm going to use the example that Will Kitchen put earlier on when we were talking about something else, and he mentioned Dr. Isaac Yankem, right? If Dr. Isaac Yankem wrestled on the opening Raw, which he didn't, but subsequently Kane had gone into the Hall of Fame, I would accept that.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily saying that as one way or another, but I'm saying that if that was a question which could come up, it's the person behind the gimmick as opposed to the gimmick itself. Possibly. I'm leaving it open. But
okay. Well, my answer to that one is 3.
Okay. Number 17, another how many question. At Survivor Series 1997, famously remember what happened that night with Brett and the whole screw job in Montreal. But there was a Team Canada versus Team USA match that night. Mm-hmm. How many of Team Canada were born in Canada?
I knew you were going to ask that.
In Team Canada versus Team USA from Survivor Series 1997, how many of Team Canada were born in Canada? To answer Malcolm, who said, do commentators count? Presumably he's referring to that first ever Raw question. No, sir. They didn't wrestle that night. It's the people that were wrestling bell to bell. So if you ask me, who did commentate on that first one? I suppose it would have been... So Savage would have been on that commentary, wouldn't he? So Savage would be what you're thinking
Rob Bartlett.
Rob Bartlett. Yeah, Rob Bartlett.
He should be in the Hall of Fame if he's not.
Who, Rob Bartlett?
Should really be, shouldn't he?
There's another one for your Rob Bartlett will be discussing an upcoming edition of How Mania, the new 90s podcast from the Hooked On Wrestling. No? Oh, Paul's shaking his head.
No. I don't think so.
Episode 912. Rob Bartlett.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna say for this one, my answer is 2.
Okay. I've got to get these questions back up on my screen. I've just realised I've got
do you know
four more things to plug, and I haven't plugged.
I've done it again, mate. I've given you the wrong bloody answer. I honestly, I am absolutely knackered today. I had very little sleep last night, or for the past few nights. I had a bit of a hangover this morning, and I'm just making mistake after mistake after mistake. I just literally gave you the wrong answer, but first answer counts, so
you
that's
said,
what
you
counts.
said to. I mean, there's times where that can help you. Weirdly, I woke up with a hangover this morning, and I haven't had a drink since last Sunday. Very weird, but I had proper. It felt like a hangover. I hadn't had a drink for 7 days. Number 18. This is my favourite question of all, and it's the worst one. Number 18. The Undertaker wrestled Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 8 in 1992. When was the next pay-per-view match where Taker wrestled a 1v1 match and his opponent did not have a manager? So I want the opponent and the pay-per-view. The Undertaker wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts at WrestleMania 8 in 1992. Neither man had a manager in their corner. Beg your pardon. Taker's opponent did not have a manager in his corner. Obviously, Taker had Bearer. When was the next time the Undertaker wrestled someone on pay-per-view and the opponent did not have a manager?
Wow. It's a long time.
It's a beautiful question. Right. Some caveats. I'm not being tricksy on manager. So, for example, if he wrestled today's Brock Lesnar, I consider Paul Heyman a manager. I know he says he's an advocate. He's a manager. Paul Heyman's a manager. Miss Elizabeth was a manager. Coach was a manager. Brother Love was a manager. Do you know what I mean? Someone in their corner that was obviously coaching them, managing them, agenting them, valeting them, whatever, right? So it's not a clever one where actually they were a valet. It's someone in their corner. So we're after the who they wrestled and the pay-per-view. So I want the match itself. What's the next time that Undertaker wrestled someone in a one-on-one match after Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 8 where there was no one in the opponent's corner? While Paul is thinking, because this is an absolute belter of a thinker, our topic on our podcast this week, that is to say the How to Be Great podcast, which Paul and I do every week. Obviously, we're going to SummerSlam theme it, and we're not going to overthink this time. Sometimes we do something a bit tricksy and different. We are simply going route one. What is the greatest SummerSlam match? That is the topic for the How to Be Great podcast, which will be during the week. We're working on making it live, aren't we, mate? We're going to try and do it live.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Tuesday or Wednesday night. We haven't decided exactly when yet, so we'll try and do it live. It'll probably be 7 or 8 o'clock Tuesday or Wednesday night. So if you want to join in, then it will be during the week. So the question will be, what is the greatest SummerSlam match of all time? That question will be posed on social media during the week on Twitter and Facebook, and you'll be able to answer within that. And we will use those suggestions and comments in the podcast.
Yes, indeed. I've got an answer for this one, mate. I've skipped forward a bit again because I haven't got the time to sit and think about the whole thing. But I think the next time he wrestled an opponent on pay-per-view without a manager was Diesel at WrestleMania 12.
Okay, well, what year would that have been? That would have been 1996, would it?
96, yeah.
Okay. To answer Tack Smith, no half points on this one, because I think if you know the match, you know the pay-per-view, and if you know the pay-per-view, you know the match, and vice versa.
So what exactly you asked me for the year then?
No. I would accept. You said WrestleMania 12. I would accept that as an answer. I was just working out in my head when exactly.
Okay.
Your answer is Diesel WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
That is the kind of answer I'm looking for. Name of wrestler, name of pay-per-view.
Cool.
Okay, number 19. Starting with December 2010's TLC and ending with July 2013's Money in the Bank, every pay-per-view main event, and by main event we mean the last match on the card, contained either John Cena, CM Punk, or both of them, with 2 exceptions. Both exceptions, it was the same 2 people in a one-on-one match. Name them.
Repeat that question.
So, by the way, this is not including Royal Rumbles. There's no tricksy thing on Royal Rumbles. So, apart from Royal Rumbles, starting with December the 2010's TLC pay-per-view and concluding with July 2013's TLC Money in the Bank pay-per-view, every single main event on all of those cards contained either John Cena, CM Punk, or both of them. There are 2 exceptions where neither Cena nor Punk are in the match, and on both of those exceptions, it's the same match in the main event. I'd like to know that match, please. I'll say it one more time. So not including Royal Rumbles, December 2010 TLC, up to July 2013 Money in the Bank. Every single one of those pay-per-views featured John Cena or CM Punk in the main event, with 2 exceptions. Those 2 exceptions, it was the same match in the main event. Neither Cena nor Punk were featured. What was the match on both of those occasions? Next week, before our SummerSlam extravaganza, as we've talked about extensively already, we're going to have Harry and Georgia Smith doing a watch-along on Bret Hart versus the Bulldog from SummerSlam 92. We're going to be hearing from the Cauliflower Alley Club president, B. Brian Blair, as well as trying to raise some money for the Cauliflower Alley Club. We will also be speaking to Diana Hart-Smith. I think we mentioned that earlier on as well. And our other Q&A from the night is we will have Martin Goldsmith on hand to do a question and answer session with us. Martin, along with his brother Harvey, co-promoted SummerSlam 1992. They were the home-based promoters. Obviously, it's a WWF event, but pretty much every event will have a local promoter. And Martin was that promoter in 1992. He's still involved in wrestling. He's has been all the way along through that time. Very, very experienced in that field. Harvey, his brother, his co-promoter on that night, promoted Live 8. So these people know their stuff when it comes to these massive shows. So we'll hear from Martin about some really fascinating stories from behind the scenes, some of the more business side of things, the technical side of things that went into putting on what is still our only ever pay-per-view on that scale, if you take away things like your insurrections and so forth. Answer then, Paul, to number 19, which is another belter, isn't it?
Without a shred of confidence, I'm saying Triple H against Brock Lesnar.
Okay. And as Francis says there, Martin is a great guy to talk about the PPV business. He absolutely is. It'll be very fascinating. Number 20, Paul Benson. Your name contains 4 vowels. You know that?
I'd never really thought about it, but I'll take your word for it.
There are 5 vowels in the English language, and I will say the English language because I'm aware that we have some Welsh viewers, and the language is different in Wales. There are different vowels in Wales, including and not limited to an additional Y. But in English, we have A, E, I, O, U. There are 5 vowels. Paul Benson's name contains 4 of those vowels. He has an A, an E, an O, and a U. He's got no I in his name. There's no I in Benson. But who was the last WWE champion to have 4 vowels in his name? That is 4 different vowels. To be clear, this is the belt that Drew currently has. So Drew McIntyre, if you go through Drew McIntyre's name, he does not have 4 vowels in his name. If they had 7 E's, that is not counting. They have to be 4 different vowels. So Paul has an A and an E and an O and a U. Who is the last person to have 4 different vowels in their name and be WWE champion?
I apologise on behalf of my co-host this week.
This is the best quiz we've ever done.
This is the worst.
It is not about scoring highly. It is about thinking, about being challenged, about walking away and going, bloody hell. If you have a wrestling fan that you work with, you're going to go into work tomorrow morning and go, I heard the best question last night. No one ever came up to you, Paul. I had a great question about football last night. Who plays at Old Trafford? No one ever did that, did they? They go, I tell you, great question, Paul. Who's the only person to score in the Champions League final and a Europa League final and a Premier League? It's tricky questions. That's what you got to think about. And I should say, Martin, there's not prizes. It's all for fun. That's the beauty of this quiz. There's no egos and there's no prizes for to the best. It's all about having a bit of a think. And yes, that's one of the reasons why, while we're thinking fast, I do sometimes do things like this, because these are a bit ungoogleable. Or you can go and Google them, but it will take you forever to do so. So you have to weigh up getting them right. I know what you mean, mate. I'm not having a pop. It's great that you're joining in and having some fun with it. You're massively appreciated, as is everyone else that's sticking with us. What you should note, folks, is that on the top of my screen, I can see how many people are in the chat and playing along, and how many have stuck through the night. And actually, remarkably, we've not had much of a dip. You would think that we would have fallen away, but we're well done for everybody for sticking with us. I know it's different, and I know it's a bit silly, but I wanted to throw these out. I think they're great questions, and they're fun to have a think about. We will not be doing this next week. We will revert to a much more obtainable topic next week. But I had all these things bubbling in my head. And if I don't do it to you guys on a Sunday, I'm only going to ring Paul in the week and throw these questions at him anyway. So I thought we'd do it in this kind of format. I like watching him squirm, though. Isn't it fun?
Well, I've got an answer. I don't know if it was the last one to have all of ours, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Good old Bert Rivers. Good old Bert Rivers. Alberto Del Rio is my answer.
Alberto Del Rio. Okay. Let's do the answers to these 5, and we'll have we'll take our time over it, because Chris is going to need a bit of time to collate all these answers. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the 5 answers, then we'll get rid of any plugging that we need to do, Paul. Just go over a few things that we need to mention for everybody, and then we'll give Chris our time. So number 16, how many people wrestled on the opening Raw and are in the Hall of Fame?
I've said 3.
You did say 3. Is there any working behind that?
Well, the matches I know, or that I recall on that Raw, are The Undertaker against Damien Demento. Obviously, no Hall of Famers there. Shawn Michaels against Max Moon, Shawn Michaels being a Hall of Famer, and then Koko Beware against Yokozuna, which contains 2 Hall of Famers, remarkably. So that and there might well be another match that I'm completely missing off, but my guess is 3.
The answer I have here is Shawn Michaels, who wrestled Max Moon, and Yoko v Koko. 3 is the answer.
Yoko v Koko. Excellent. Pleased with that.
3 is the answer. It's just one of those. Sometimes I think people will sometimes include the Undertaker, because you think of Undertaker so highly, you just forget he's not been included in the Hall of Fame yet. That's just the way. Number 17. How many of Team Canada in the 1997 Survivor Series were born in Canada?
I said 2, because I think I should have gone with 1, but Bulldog wasn't, Neidhart wasn't, so that leaves Furness and Lafon. I know Lafon was. I don't know about Doug Furness, but I'm saying 2. Sticking with 2.
It's good working out, even though you've proved yourself wrong. Yes, Davey Boy born in this country, Doug Furness and Neidhart both born in the USA. The only person in Team Canada that was born in Canada was Phil Lafon. So the answer is 1. You didn't have to say who. You just had to come up with a number. And if you said 1, that was good enough. Number 18, The Undertaker wrestled Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 8 in 1992. What was the next match where he wrestled someone without anyone in their corner? Basically, if you go through that whole period, it's just a series of matches with the same sort of people in their corner. A lot of the time, it's DiBiase, and then you go around to sort of. I've gone out of my head now. Who the others are?
He just fused with managers. He feuded with Harvey Whippleman to start in '93 with Kamala and Jan Gonzalez. Then he started feuding with Ted DiBiase, and then almost as soon as that finished, he started feuding with Paul Bearer. So that was So
you went for Diesel at WrestleMania 12 in 1996, but a little bit earlier that year at the Royal Rumble, he wrestled Bret Hart.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
The answer is Bret Hart, Royal Rumble 1996. Isn't that incredible? From WrestleMania one year to Royal Rumble 4 years later. So basically 3 10/12 of a year. Everyone he wrestled in a one-on-one match had a manager in their corner. Absolutely extraordinary. Number 19, starting with December 2010's TLC, ending with July 2013's Money in the Bank. Every pay-per-view final match in that period contained either John Cena, CM Punk, or both, with 2 exceptions. Which 2 men contested the final match in those 2 exceptions? What did you go for?
I said Lesnar against Triple H, but again, 0 confidence.
Well, you may have had 0 confidence, but you've had 1 point, because the answer is Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. They wrestled twice during that time, and it was on the main event on both occasions. Every single other match over that 3 or so year period had John Cena or CM Punk in the main events. That's a pretty good run as far as those 2 are concerned, isn't it? Who was the last person to contain 4 different vowels in their name? I actually let me just type down. So Del Rio's got an A and an E and an I and an O, isn't he? Yes, very good. So that has 4 different vowels. However, he won the title before the most recent person that had it, Roman Reigns.
Of course.
Roman Reigns with an A and an E and an I and an O. No U in Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns is the answer. The last person to have 4 different vowels in their name. This is outside the quiz. We could never ask this because it's a little bit tricky in terms of how you define it. But by my workings out, there have been 2 people to include all 5 vowels. What do you think?
I don't know. Go on. Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, correct. I reckon that the only 2, prove me wrong, folks, but I reckon that the only 2 people to have all 5 vowels are the Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think they're the only 2 to have all 5 vowels in their name. But it's a little bit tricky because if you ask that one, do you just say Steve Austin, in which case it's only E-U-I? Or do you, actually E-U-I-A. Actually, it's actually is all 4 of them are in it, but
the character's name is definitely Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's not a nickname. That's not like the immortal Hulk Hogan, for instance. But even his name is Hulk Hogan.
But even there's a few others. Do you say Bret Hart, or do you say Bret the Hitman Hart, or do you say Randy Savage or Macho Man Randy Savage? You know what I mean? There's a few where it's a bit. So right. It's too tricky to ask. Anyway, that is the questions. Is Chris ready to rumble, or do we need to do a little bit of plugging in between?
He is indeed. I feel like I've been sodomized by those questions, so I assume everybody else feels the same. So let's bring Chris in for a little...
In a good way, right?
Trivially sodomized.
In a good way. In a good way.
Always a good way. So, Chris, how many bonus questions are there, pal?
But they're really spread out again. So, again, great that people are getting the answers right. So we've got Kerr McKinley on 2, Leanne Culverhouse 2, Callum Christie 1, Chris Marden 1, David Reed 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Mark Daniels at 1, Martin Richards 1, Mick Conley 1, Steve Clark 1, Thomas Hall 1, Thomas Stringer 1.
Well done, all of you guys. So one more time, would you, Chris?
Of course, Kerr McKinley 2, Leanne Culverhouse 2, Callum Christie 1, Chris Marden 1, David Reed 1, Malcolm Marr 1, Mark Daniels at 1, Martin Richards 1, Mick Conley 1, Steve Clark 1, Thomas Hall 1, and Thomas Stringer 1.
Fantastic, guys. Right, so if you add all your bonuses up and give us your final scores, I see Malcolm there's got a 13, Kerr with a 17. I would take 17 every single day on that one, mate. I think that's a really, really good score.
I was going to say 17 is an excellent score tonight.
Yeah, so I anything above a 10, and I think Mick, your cat can take a running jump, mate, because that is a tremendous score of 14. Well done, anything. 17 and a half for Adam. Oh, the bonus point counts. So whilst everyone's typing their scores into the comments, mate, why don't you tell us who we drew out on the t-shirt front?
Yeah, I can do that, and it's Leanne that's got the t-shirt this week.
Hey, well done, Leanne. Congratulations. You win that Seth Rollins t-shirt. So, Leanne, we'll get that to you. I know your address actually from sending you stuff previously, so no need to send me address, but do send me a size. We're not creepy at all. Weird, and we'll get that sorted. So well done, guys. Right,
I know your address.
Oh, I'm glad we're ending on a high note after all that malarkey. So,
we haven't ended. There's bundles to go in. I've got 20 minutes of stuff to do yet.
No, you haven't. Right, guys. What are we looking at points wise? I haven't seen one higher than 17.5 yet. So unless I do, 18.5 for Leanna. I think. Look, has Leanne done the double for the first time? Is it? Oh, you sneaky so and so.
Are you talking to your? I hope you're talking to your cat.
He's just coming through the window.
Brilliant. You've got a bloody secret agent cat. You have.
I really have. He managed to get in my bedroom the other day.
Scale windows and all sorts of stuff. It's extraordinary.
He really is the best.
I want to pick up on a comment. Will Kitchen said this was as hard as getting through a Vince Russo booked Nitro. That may be so. First of all, there's something interesting about watching those late era Nitros. Secondly, if you are a bit of a Nitro person, we've got a bit of a theme coming up, Paul.
Yes, we have. Next week, so starting, when would it be? Starting a week on Monday. No, 2 weeks on Monday. Sorry, just get my days right. It's going to be Nitro Week on Hooked on Wrestling. So, like we did our Undertaker weekend a couple of weeks back, that went really well. We are dedicating a whole week to Nitro because the 4th of September is the 25th anniversary of that first ever episode of Nitro. So, we're going to have bundles of interviews, loads of new content. All sorts of stuff relating to all our podcasts that weekend will be Nitro related, and of course you can imagine our Sunday night quiz that ends Nitro week will be dedicated to all things Nitro era WCW. We won't make it specifically Nitro, but we'll make it Nitro era. So what a good excuse to go back and watch some of those Vince Russo Nitros, what, as if you need another one. So yeah, Martin, I'm afraid you might need to make alternative plans for, I believe, the 6th of September, because that is indeed Nitro week. Will we be talking about the WWE version of WC Nitro? No. So that's it, guys. Please join us next Sunday. We've got a really big week planned. We've all been very nervous about making sure we get this right. It's the biggest thing we've ever done online. So we're really we want to make sure it's a really good night for them. SummerSlam shaping up to be a great event, and we feel like this is what we want to do as the next best thing to having our parties in person. We want to make sure we're all together, as big a crowd as possible. What are you doing?
I think we've both seen the same question. Yes.
Oh dear me. And yeah, so we want to make sure it's a great night. So we're going to have everything that Rob's been mentioning throughout the night. Obviously, we're going to be sticking around for SummerSlam. We'll be having some beers and watching that with you guys, and hopefully, please spread the word. Please, if you can, donate to that Cauliflower Alley Fund that's going to be live until the end of SummerSlam. Like I said, if you guys have been entertained by what we've been doing the last few months, thank you all for sticking with us all this time. We're not planning to stop anytime soon. If you've enjoyed it, please give back by giving to this fund. Now the cat's vaulting up the wall. What on earth are you doing? Please give back to this fund. We would really, really appreciate it. I'll put the link in the comments one more time. We've only launched it in the last couple of days, and we really want to raise that £1,000 in the next 7 days. So please help us towards that if you can.
I nearly said about 15 minutes ago, we've nearly got through a whole quiz without Paul's cat Dizzy jumping into the frame and making a fuss of everything. Are you going to go and get him? I will say this, folks. Paul is a really, really good social media guy, right? He's not one of these people that puts loads and loads of stuff up of his son. Paul's son is ace, right? He's really fun and clever and witty and everything. But Paul is quite sparing about what he puts up of his son, because some people just put all their kids up all the time, don't they? Paul's brilliant at putting Samuel's things up when he's doing something funny or relevant, and it's great. He's had a cat about 3 weeks, endless fucking cat pictures. Absolutely unbelievable.
What can I say? My cat's not as judgmental as Mick's. So until that starts, then we're in. Anyway, we'll end it on that note, guys. Have a lovely week. We'll speak to you all during the week, we're sure. We'll send you the information about Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you all next Sunday. Remember, 8 o'clock is when we start. We're going through till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever that might be. Just so you know, the quiz itself, we haven't decided on the actual schedule tonight. It really depends on when guests can do, but we're thinking the quiz element's probably going to be about 9 o'clock, like it is at our parties in person. So, but that will be subject to change, but that's the plan. So, guys, well done on getting through this week. Oh, look, we've got a visitor. There's the cameo. Hello, mate. Right, look at the camera. Look, there you go. Look.
Yeah, brilliant.
There you go. Oh, there he is.
Even Hatch has been upstage. It was me and you. Then Hatch upstage dies. Now Dizzy has taken over. Finally.
Right, guys, have a wonderful one, and we'll see you all next Sunday. Take care.
Join us next week, whether you want to or not.